is up, my creeps? Richard here with the horror, the terror. And right now we are in Richmond, Virginia at the Hollywood Cemetery. And here we are going to be investigating the urban legend of the Richmond Vampire. So come with us on this spooky adventure. Now, our story begins actually right below me. I'm standing on top of what is known as the Church Hill train tunnel. It's closed now. Both ends have been sealed off. In fact, this building behind me, this warehouse, is now converted condos. And you can see right here is where the train line would have gone. But now it's all private property, and there's family out there enjoying a picnic. So I don't want to disturb them. So I'm going to try to find the other end, which is in the park, and I believe that's easily more accessible. It's not what you know, but who. And fortunately, I met a very nice who. His name is Mike, and he's the owner of the Pie 3.14 that is right down there on the corner of the street. And very delicious pizza, by the way. And so if you're in the Richmond area, I highly recommend it. But he was able to let me in so I could shoot this video. So I want to give him a shout out, the Pie 3.14 Pizzeria. And it's very good, very filling. I was only able to eat 2 slices, but I've got more for the trip home. So let's talk a little bit about where I'm at. So this is the entrance to the Church Hill train tunnel. And this was built back around the 1870s as a way, of course, of transporting goods by rail. In fact, where I'm sitting right now would have been the railway line. Now, the ground here was not conducive for tunneling and would collapse periodically. It was made out of very soft clay and was just not any good. So the railway decided to build a viaduct further down that way, and a rail line was switched to go that direction and then bring the supplies and stuff to Newport News, which is pretty close to the area that I'm from. It's part of our 7 cities. So this was pretty much closed off until about the 1920s. The Chesapeake, Ohio line decided, you know what? Let's refurbish this tunnel, open it back up, and it might be cheaper to transport our stuff this way. So on October 2nd, 1925, there was a steam engine with 10 flatbed cars and a number of workers working on refurbishing the tunnel when disaster struck. There was a collapse, burying the steam engine, the cars, and several of the workers. There was also an explosion. And when rescue workers came in to help try to see if there were any survivors, they were shocked to discover a creature, unbelievable terror, this horrendous thing with jagged teeth, muscular body, skin hanging off itself, covered in blood, standing over some of the victims. And it ran at them, and they fled in terror, and this creature goes running out of the tunnel and down the road where it went to the Hollywood Cemetery and went hiding out into the tomb of W.W. Poole. And this was the start of the urban legend of the Richmond Vampire, because supposedly W.W. Poole is the Richmond Vampire. Now here we are at the gravesite of William Worthman Poole, and it is purported that he is the actual vampire of Richmond. Not much is really known about him now. We do know that in 1861, on May the 6th, at 19 years old, he did enlist in the Confederate Army, and he served with the Mississippi Volunteers. At some point, he became ill on a furlough and was later discharged, and not much is known after that. He did wind up marrying a woman by the name of Alice, who predeceased him in 1913, which is why it says 1913 above the door there. William Poole himself, though, passed away in the year 1922. Now, according to the legend, after this vampire ran from the collapsed tunnel, he ran straight here to this tomb, and is now purportedly only comes out on moonless nights to haunt the Hollywood Cemetery. Now, this is a mural not too far from where the incident took place, commemorating the disaster back in 1925. Looks like it was painted back in 2012. Here is the sign talking about the accident at the Churchill Tunnel. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you'd like to read it, you can go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so let's talk about the facts of the case. In reality, is it a vampire? Come on. No. What actually happened is when the tunnel collapsed, the steam engine blew up. That was the explosion that was heard. One of the engineers, a man by the name of Benjamin Mosby, was caught in the explosion and just got doused with that hot steam, burning his body all over. His teeth got shattered. And it was most likely him that the rescuers saw running around in just shock and terror and agony. Because, I mean, imagine yourself getting burned by steam. I mean, you'd be burned, you're bloodied, you lost your teeth. It's just very nasty business. And he sadly later succumbed from his injuries. He did not make it. Now, we're also a couple miles away. I want to say about 2 miles from the cemetery. So there's no way he would have been able to run in his state from here to the cemetery, to that tomb. The legend started coming about around the 1950s when the story was getting retold. This is the college area. So I believe, if I remember the story correctly, it got reported in a college newspaper, this legend, and it just blew up. And more and more people then started claiming to see this Richmond vampire, and it just turned into an urban legend. So the vampire itself was not real. It's a fun story, but it's not real. The tragedy, though, was very, very real. And to this day, this is a burial site. There are still bodies buried back here. Both ends have been sealed up. The train is still buried under there. And so this is a sacred site. This is a tomb. And so while the story is fun to think about, in reality, yeah, this is a final resting place to several victims. Apparently 2, maybe more, because sadly a lot of the co-workers, a lot of the workers were African American, and so when the accident happened, they were not really reported as missing or gone or anything like that, because of the time they were considered non-people, which is just totally wrong. You know, they lost their lives too. So, you know, I consider this, you know, sacred ground, you know, hallowed ground. It's a, you know, their final resting place, and they should be treated as such. But once again, I would like to thank Mike and Amber and the folks here at Pi 3.14 out here in Richmond, right here by the Churchill train tunnel, for allowing me entrance to the yard so I can shoot the video. If you happen to be in the area, it's really good pizza, and so check them out. And until next time, remember, give the gifts of life because you can't take it with you. This week happens to be National Donors Week, so make sure you are an organ donor. And until next time, stay spooky.